I'm doing a book review about the book Spare. I posted a Facebook question the other day, just simply asking if anybody had read this book. And the post had 317 reactions, 506 comments, and 6 shares. So I didn't expect it to explode like that. Anyway, I'm going to share my thoughts about the book. I'm mostly going to focus on the section with Harry and Meghan. It's about him growing up. It tells about how, how he went to boarding school, and him and his brother, there was disparity between him and his brother. When his mom died, I don't believe, from what I can recall, because I've read this over the span of a big block of time. I read this interspersed with other books because I don't read nonfiction very often. So just saying. I recall it saying that he did not see his mom's body. Like, you know how usually when someone dies, there's a viewing? Well, since he didn't get to see the dead body in person, he didn't really accept that his mom was dead. He was thinking she was going to come back or come and visit him or something, which is sad. And I think it might have helped him to see the body, but then maybe not, because that's a sensitive subject, and it depends on the state of the body as well. If it's like horrific, then maybe it's best that he not have seen it. But he didn't really accept that she was dead. So it was like there wasn't a whole lot of emotion there, because if someone's dead and you don't think they are, and plus you're a child, that's what kind of made it kind of complicated for him. A lot of the book tells of his experiences in the military. Now, I couldn't really get into the whole military thing because that's just not my thing. Again, nonfiction in general is not my thing. I like to read fiction. I love novels, but nonfiction, I read it, but I read it sparingly. Military stuff like going to battle and flying the helicopters and stuff, and I don't know, that's just not something that I'm into. So that's all I'm saying. It's not exciting to my brain, if that makes any sense. So anyway, and I noticed even like he lived, like, even when he wasn't like busy with military duties, and like when he was doing just royal duties, like focusing on royal stuff, I noticed that where he actually lived a somewhat humble life. At least that's the way I gathered, what I gathered from it, from reading it. Because he lived in this house that his dad told him I think either his dad or his grandfather, not grandfather, either his dad or his grandma, the queen, I can't remember which one, told him where he could live. And he cooked all of his own meals, and he had a food allowance, and he did all of his own stuff. It wasn't like, you know how when you see like kings and queens and royalty and princes, like in movies and stuff, how they're being waited on hand and foot. They've got butlers and all these people like doing at their beck and call, doing stuff for them. That wasn't the life he led as an adult. Like maybe, like I know when he was a kid, in the book, it focused a lot of him being gone, like at boarding school and stuff. And it did talk about him talking to his dad some when he was a child. And sometimes his dad was not always vocal, like he might write him a letter or something. But when he was an adult, like going grocery shopping, he would put a disguise on because he doesn't want anybody to recognize him because it's going to cause an uproar. So he had in the grocery store, he had the grocery store like memorized, like he knew where everything was, and he would just go in there, I guess at a period of time, maybe when it's not real busy, and quickly get what he wanted and quickly check out because he didn't want anybody to know that he was there. Now, the only thing that he did have that was royal was like the bodyguards. So though he did still have those. So he also mentioned at one point that his dad's chef would cook like, I don't know, some kind of pie or something, like almost like a pot pie. I don't remember the proper terminology for it, but like would cook him extra, like when they cook meals for the dad, they would cook extra like little meals for him that he could keep in the freezer and then warm up, like some kind of a cottage pie or something. I don't remember exactly, but he would get that as like I guess somewhat of a perk for being, since he's a royal or whatever. But when he lived there, I thought it sounded, I mean, it didn't sound all that great. It sounded like a lot of trouble, because I didn't really see many perks for being born royal. And near the end of the book, like with the press hounding him and Meghan, he actually sued the press, but his family was against him doing that. And I thought that was strange, because some of them had sued the press. So they didn't like that was public, that he had sued the press. And some of the stories that were leaked to the press about him and Meghan, they were leaked to the press by his own family. That's what he implied in his book. And when him and Meghan left royal life, first they stayed with Elton John for a while, because Elton John was close to Harry's mom. So they stayed with Elton John and his partner for, I don't know, a week or two. I can't remember how long. And then they also stayed with Tyler Perry. They stayed in his house. They came over to the States and they stayed in Tyler Perry's house for, I think it was 6 weeks before the paparazzi found them, because Tyler Perry was gone shooting a film or something, and so he allowed them to stay in his house, and nobody knew where they were for a while. And another thing about his suing the press, he wanted to sue the press. He didn't want Meghan to end up like his mom. He didn't want her to end up dead. Her and situation continued. That's what would happen. At one point, Meghan did seem suicidal, but what he described in the book. Now, I wanted to read to you some sections in the book that I found intriguing. So, the one I'm going to read to you is from part 3, because that's when he meets Meghan. So that was the section that held my interest the most out of the whole book. This is one of the sections that I'm going to read. It's the first page of the 3rd section. I was sitting around Notcott, scrolling through Instagram. In my feed, I saw a video. My friend Violet and a young woman. They were playing with a new app that puts silly filters on your photos. Violet and the woman had dog ears, dog noses, long red dog tongues hanging out. Despite the canine cartoon overlay, I sat up straighter. This woman with Violet. My God. I watched the video several times, then forced myself to put down the phone, then picked it up again, watched the video again. I traveled the world from top to bottom, literally. I'd hopscotched the continents. I'd met hundreds of thousands of people. I'd crossed paths with a ludicrously large cross-section of the planet's 7 billion residents. For 32 years, I'd watched a conveyor belt of faces pass by, and only a handful ever made me look twice. This woman stopped the conveyor belt. This woman smashed the conveyor belt to bits. I'd never seen anyone so beautiful. Oh my God. I love that. Anyway, that was when he first saw Meghan the first time. And then This other part I want to read. I want to read when he first met up with Megan for the first time. They met up at this restaurant. She told him, where to meet her. At last I arrived, red-cheeked, puffing, sweaty. Half an hour late, I ran into the restaurant, into the quiet room, and found her at a small sitting area on a low velvet sofa in front of a low coffee table. She looked up, smiled. I apologized, profusely. I couldn't imagine many people had been late for this woman. I settled into the sofa, apologized again. She said she forgave me. She was having a beer, some sort of IPA. I asked for a Peroni. I didn't want beer, but it seemed easier. Silence. We took it all in. She was wearing a black sweater, jeans, heels. I knew nothing about clothes, but I knew she was chic. Then again, I knew she could make anything look chic, even a bivvy bag. The main thing I noticed was the chasm between internet and reality. I'd seen so many photos of her from fashion shoots and TV sets, all glam and glossy. But here she was, in the flesh, no frills, no filter, and even more beautiful. Heart attack beautiful. I was trying to process this, struggling to understand what was happening to my circulatory and nervous systems, and as a result, my brain couldn't handle any more data. Conversation, pleasantries, the Queen's English all became a challenge. She filled the gap. She talked about London. She was here all the time, she said. Sometimes she just left her luggage at Soho House for weeks. They stored it without question. The people there were like family. I thought, you're in London all the time? How have I never seen you? Never mind that 9 million people lived in London or that I rarely left my house. I felt that if she was here, I should have known. I should have been informed. That is so, I love that. Now, the next section, the last section that I wanted to read. This was when they had an argument, dispute. He got angry with her, and she was mad that he got angry with her. And we'll just hear what happened. Listen to this. And it won't take that very long. Reunited. A quiet night at Notcott, preparing dinner together. December 2016. Meg and I had discovered that we shared the same favorite food, roast chicken. I didn't know how to cook it, so that night she was teaching me. I remember the warmth of the kitchen, the wonderful smells, lemon wedges on the cutting board, garlic and rosemary, gravy bubbling in a saucepan. I remember rubbing salt on the skin of the bird, then opening a bottle of wine. Meg put on music. She was expanding my horizons, teaching me about folk music and soul, James Taylor and Nina Simone. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. Maybe the wine went to my head. Maybe the weeks of battling the press had worn me down. For some reason, when the conversation took an unexpected turn, I became touchy. Then angry. Disproportionately sloppily angry. Meg said something I took the wrong way. It was partly a cultural difference, partly a language barrier, but I was also just oversensitive that night. I thought, why is she having a go at me? I snapped at her, spoke to her harshly, cruelly. As the words left my mouth, I could feel everything in the room come to a stop. The gravy stopped bubbling. The molecules of air stopped orbiting. Even Nina Simone seemed to pause. Meg walked out of the room, disappearing for a full 15 minutes. I went and found her upstairs. She was sitting in the bedroom. She was calm, but said in a quiet, level tone that she would never stand for being spoken to like that. I nodded. She wanted to know where it came from. I don't know. Where did you ever hear a man speak like that to a woman? Did you overhear adults speak that way when you were growing up? I cleared my throat, looked away. Yes. She wasn't going to tolerate that kind of partner or co-parent, that kind of life. She wasn't going to raise children in an atmosphere of anger or disrespect. She laid it all out super clear. We both knew my anger hadn't been caused by anything to do with our conversation. It came from somewhere deep inside, somewhere that needed to be excavated, and it was obvious that I could use some help with the job. I've tried therapy, I told her. Willie told me to go. Never found the right person. Didn't work. No, she said softly. Try again. Woo! I guess she was laying down the law with that one. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Leave a comment. If you have any questions, let me know. Also, here you go. I have to promote my own work. If you like romances or if you like love stories, check out my novels. Most of them have hundreds of 5-star ratings and reviews. Just check some sales channels, go online and check it out. Different websites, different places. Great novels and novellas, and you will love them. This is my Christmas holiday romance book bundle right now. This is at a super low price. I've been writing for decades, so I can spin a good story that will keep you satisfied. You will just love it. Sweet, emotional romances that you'll always remember. You will never forget these stories. So check them out. There you go. And by Cecelia Dowdy, Cecelia Dowdy. So check out my own work and enjoy the rest of your day. I just wanted to add something to this video. What I said during the course of the video about not really being into the military aspect of the book Spare by Prince Harry, I didn't want anybody to misunderstand my comments. I am not anti-military. I support the military. I am so grateful for all they do for us. I was just saying from an entertainment aspect or from a aspect of like looking at something, like I don't usually watch very many war movies. So anything military related is just not something that I'm going to usually read about, either fiction or nonfiction. Usually I don't find it exciting, but I do support the military wholeheartedly. I've supported their causes. I just didn't want to come across as someone mistakenly thinking that I'm anti-military, because I'm not. And I have several relatives who've served in the military, and I'm just grateful for all that they do for our country. So I'm just making sure that I put that out there just in case somebody misunderstands what I said about the military earlier in this video. But thanks for listening, and don't forget to check out my books.